Keeping your heart open when all it wants to do is close, when all you feel is a right to defend the pain that you have gone through, is the hardest thing that we can do. If you have been at the end of someone who has calcified their heart in pride and in anger, and it's made you calcify yours in pride and in anger because you're so angry, the heart is the pathway to healing. Navigating these dynamics and experiences as you grow older is critical to your continued evolution and to your growth. It is better to sit in the hope of loving and tighten at the thought of lovelessness than it is to secure the promise of a tightened life and a heart that can no longer breathe.
But you're awakening already, right? It's already happening. That's why you're here and why you're listening.
Nothing is broken in your world. Nothing needs to be changed. Nothing needs to be different. And yet everything is constantly changing because it is the inevitable nature of that which is eternal.
What I've come to realize in this endless searching for answers is that there really are none.
If you spend your whole life trying to get your act together, then what do you have? You have an act, right? Instead of a life.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Figuring Shit Out. I am Vanessa Fontana, I am your host, and if you are new here, Figuring Shit Out is a collective undertaking of self-help, coming of age, and finding and healing yourself in a world of flux. It is meant to help you deepen and expand the most important relationship you will ever have, that with yourself. And on today's episode, I am going to talk about sorting through anger, sorting through pride, and sorting through unhealthy family dynamics while you're in the process of healing. Not necessarily going back to the past and digging the things up and doing all of the shadow work and having to relive some of the things that have caused you to feel your present day emotions in the now, but really focusing on the present day experience of navigating family dynamics and dealing with emotions like anger, dealing with confrontations of pride and seeing pride in other people. The need to defend the right to feel upset. That is pride. Need to almost viscerally protect that inner child that maybe you've been acquainted with before. And whenever we're feeling anger and whenever we're feeling pride and whenever we see anger and pride in another person, all we're seeing is someone who really does not want to feel the emotions that are underneath it. The sadness, the grief, the hard, heavy feelings that are so perpetually undertaking that can feel so immobilizing. Anger is a disguise, but it's also a blocker for you to access the most important thing that can move you through this life and is there to be the channel through which you see this life, which is your heart. Anger is not a primary emotion, it's a secondary emotion, which means we're not first feeling anger. And if you're always angry and always reacting, it's because there's a lot that has not been processed, that has not been felt. It's our right to feel upset and our right to be in the place of sadness without actually feeling the sadness. And so it turns into hardened pain that we then project at the world around us and essentially keep ourselves stuck in and also keep ourselves in a perpetual cycle of choosing the same things that will keep us sad, but really in turn just create that momentum of angry energy. So I'm going to read something that I wrote about this last week. This piece that I wrote is really just about laying down your armor and the feeling behind the feeling and realizing that that is what the anger was trying to protect you from all along. And also realizing that it's almost like when you open your heart and you get access to your heart, it feels like this longing, like your heart has just been wanting to be felt. Your heart has just been wanting to express itself. There's so much that's been wanting to come out and come through you. And when you finally come home to that heart-centered space, it just feels like a relief and a deep acquaintanceship with something that's long overdue. So without further ado, have you ever felt your heart open and felt all that you'd been holding back? Have you ever felt yourself release through breath, lay down your armor and say, fine, I will not deny myself that I want to love. I want to love. Though the other may have hurt me, I still want to love. Pretending that I don't and pretending that I don't hurts more than abandoning myself because I have been abandoned, because I feel I have been abandoned. Pride is the deadliest sin for a reason because it disguises itself as love, when really it puts chains around the act of loving. Casts upon it conditions and rules and definitions and shoulds and shouldn'ts. Pride is a defense of one's own right to feel pain without the tender heart to allow the felt experience. It is the love of being right and masquerades its false stories as truth. Calcifies the heart on a mountaintop of despair and tells you that you are safest there. Pride is an empty band-aid. Pride is a constrictor. Pride is the devil in disguise. Who are you to deny yourself that you want to love, even if it is not returned to you? Pride and anger are just imposters for something much deeper. It is okay to be angry. It is okay to allow that energy to materialize and catalyze you into your next version of life, to allow that fire in your chest to allow you to exit a situation that's harmful to you, to allow that fire to set the boundaries that your sad little inner child might not have the heart to set. But when all of that is said and done, there's going to come a time and a place where you slow down and you can't stop being angry. You can't stop being upset. You have so much pride and so much right to defend where you are and who you are and how it's in spite of the person or people that hurt you or the situations that have caused you so much grief that you can't even feel the joy of them. You can't even feel the goodness of them. That is what anger does, is it blocks you from everything else because it's just stuck emotion. And so that piece was really just about realizing that that is what it is and how we tend to do the same thing that the people who've hurt us in our life have done to us. We tend to do the same things to ourselves, hurt ourselves in the same way, in the ways that the people who we've loved the most have hurt us. So if you've felt abandoned, chances are you are likely someone who tends to abandon yourself. And you might not think that you're abandoning yourself because it's so sneaky. You might be doing everything right and working really hard on yourself and growing, but abandonment of self is the inability to sit with self. It's the inability to sit with everything that's underneath the anger or the pain or the day-to-day, the movement of life. It's the inability to sit still, the inability to really pay mind and pay attention to the deeper parts of ourselves that ask us to move slow. It is sometimes being a bit imbalanced in your energy, whether that's feminine or masculine, overproducing, moving, or underproducing, just claiming yourself the right to sleep and rest when you know that that's not good for you. It's all of the silent ways that we don't show up for ourselves. We also self-abandon by masquerading our pride and our anger as the only thing that we feel and the only thing we've ever felt, as if they don't stand in front of something really, really hard to hold. When it comes to unhealthy family dynamics, especially with your parents, there is so much that is demanding to be felt, usually. If you come from a family where there was fighting and you are still in a situation where certain members of your family will trigger that feeling from the past. And a lot of times we will hold so much anger towards the people who were older than us, who should have known better than us, who we feel should have protected us, who we feel should love us and take care of us a certain way. We deny ourselves the fact that we love people who might not change. We love people who we might not want to talk to all the time. We love people who we might have to set really hard boundaries with. We abandon ourselves the right to know that we love them, to feel that we love them because it hurts to love them. The price of loving is knowing that loss is inextricably intertwined with that. That is the natural duality of life. And in order to be a being on this earth who receives love, you have to also realize that you will at times feel tremendous loss. No one is exempt from that. Sometimes that loss doesn't look as black and white as life and death. Sometimes it looks like the loss of the emotional support of someone. Sometimes it looks like the loss of presence. What we have to keep remembering with love is that the only reason that people will ever kick us out of their heart, hurt us, is because they do not have access to their own, because there is a child inside of their heart that is deeply hurt, deeply wounded, maybe never even recognized. Certainly a lot to carry that. It is certainly a lot to know that. It is certainly not your job to heal your parents' pain or the people who came before you's pain or anyone's pain, but it is your job to feel your experience and to transmute everything that is stuck and stored in your experience that is keeping you from living the fullest expression of your experience if you have the resources and the ability to access healing. If you are safe, it is your job to teach yourself that you are safe, to show yourself that you are safe. Even if you came from a very unsafe environment, it is your job to reparent the parts of you that are asking for it. You can no longer externalize that expectation. It's not going to serve you, and it's just going to keep you stuck. It is better to sit in the hope of loving and tighten at the thought of lovelessness than it is to secure the promise of a tightened life and a heart that can no longer breathe. If you have been at the end of someone who has calcified their heart in pride and in anger, and it's made you calcify yours in pride and in anger because you're so angry, the heart is the pathway to healing. The body is the pathway to healing. Navigating these dynamics and experiences as you grow older is critical to your continued evolution and to your growth. Keeping your heart open when all it wants to do is close, when all you feel is a right to defend the pain that you have gone through, is the hardest thing that we can do. And that does not mean life without boundaries. That does not mean that you allow your heart to continue to be hurt in ways that have happened before in the past. What it means is that you do not allow someone else's anger and pain to become your anger and pain. And also, you do not extend your hand until it is worn off your body because you want them to come and heal with you. You are only responsible for healing yourself, and you are only able to heal yourself, and you are only able to feel the full breadth of your experiences, the pain that has been stored in your body, if you stop allowing yourself to carry around all of that anger. Feel what's underneath it. It's important to remind yourself that you are here, you are safe, you are autonomous, that you are the creator of your life, that no one has control over you. It is more important to choose the risk of lovelessness than to secure the certainty of lovelessness by deciding that you are unlovable, because you are not. And everything that's gotten in the way is also to be paid attention to. It's to be sat with. It's to be felt. It's not to be questioned. Why? It is. It's happened. You have to move forward. That's all I have for you today. If you liked this episode, let me know your thoughts, and I will see you guys next week.
You got to look for the redeeming feature. You got to look for things to appreciate. You got to find a reason to make it okay where you are. No, I've got to strive and struggle and try. That's what I've been taught. Growth and expansion is my quest. No, that's inevitable. Whether it comes easy or hard is the question.
The horrible truth is that it's an inside job. That if you're going to get that love and that respect that you've just that union starts inside.
To every experience of growth, there is an equal and an opposite. And that equal and an opposite is what drives you to that light. So you have to start inwards. You have to start first within yourself.